is there a concrete example of something where you said something, and I'm not thinking of anything in particular. I'm being entirely genuine here. Is there an instance where you feel you said something that appeared to be true to you at the time, and knowing what you know?
Yes, I think I was a little. I think I was a little dismissive of the men going their own way, because I think I called them pathetic weasels, and I had my reasons for that. My reasons were, roughly speaking, that
Who are the men going their own way? Just for context.
Well, they're a group of people, mostly on the net, who've been burned in their relationships, or who conceptualize themselves as having been burned in their relationships, and they believe that the legal structure, in particular in Western countries, is so tilted against men, particularly in family dispute situations, and divorce settlement, that it's safer for men not to establish permanent relationships with women, not to cohabit with them, ever. And they're a large movement. Now, how large they are, I don't know, but they're large enough. And they have...
Today, we're going to get into why Jordan Peterson disparages the MGTOW community and other parts of the Manosphere. I'm not personally a big fan of Jordan Peterson, neither do I despise him. However, I do applaud him for his work. Jordan Peterson is a highly influential speaker and leader amongst millions of people around the world. Some people like to associate his brand with the Red Pill Manosphere because he's generally perceived as conservative. Just like Kevin Samuels, Jordan Peterson is his own personal brand. Although Jordan Peterson uses some of the same talking points as men in the Manosphere, he's still uniquely different in his approach. People outside of this subculture presumes that Jordan Peterson, Kevin Samuels, Marquette Burton, and the Roommates podcast are active members of the worldwide Manosphere. They're not due to their belief systems. The mindset of a red pill man is very distinct from that of the general population. The red pill is not only foundational to gain, but it's very essential for the modern man to grasp in order to fulfill their masculine imperatives. The red pill does not only emphasize on woman's inherent nature as it relates to the contemporary world, but how the masculine can perform at its highest level and live with it in a harmonious fashion. A mature red pill man is unperturbed by the darkest elements of woman's nature. He understands it and accepts it for what it is. The Manosphere subculture fosters a very pro-masculine paradigm not only around dating and relationships, but around life as well. YouTubers such as Jordan Peterson, Marquette Burton, and the Roommates podcast are not part of the Red Pill community or belong to the Manosphere subculture. Let's do a little background check on Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist, college professor, and author from Edmonton, Canada. He became more conspicuous in the 2010s due to his views on cultural and political issues. Peterson was featured in a variety of podcasts, including the more prominent ones such as The Joe Rogan Show and the Roommates podcast. Peterson said in an interview a few years back that he disparages the MGTOW community due to its influence on younger men who've experienced trouble in the dating market, although he agrees with the grievances. An earlier video published by Jordan Peterson about MGTOW was one that I partly disagreed with. Peterson made a joke out of the men in the community by calling them pathetic weasels. In this video, I can tell that he didn't fully understand the community and was basically only giving his own personal opinion. Peterson stated that the people who rejected you are telling you what's wrong with you. I find this not to be entirely true, as people will not tell you directly what's wrong with you. You're not always the issue. There can be several variables that play into the situation and why you were rejected from the begin with. In the more recent podcast by the Roommates, Jordan Peterson answered Hafiz's question why women are very selective. In other words, Hafiz emphasized on how the dating market has changed for men in particular due to women's unrealistic standards, from being well accomplished, and the rise of social media. Jordan Peterson's answer was that women are right for not selecting you due to the risk of pregnancy. I also disagree with this statement due to the relevance of contraceptive devices, along with the changes in abortion law. People today have no excuse to deliver unwanted births. Jordan Peterson stated that men being irritated with women is silly. I'm not in disagreement with this statement at all. However, I believe that he was implying MGTOW, red pill, and black pill men because these are the only communities of men that are willing to push back against the notion that women are faultless and everything they do is for the greater good. Many people outside of this subculture presume that men in this sphere always complain about women, and this is primarily due to not listening to the actual content itself. There is a small percentage of men in the manosphere that actually complains. Men in general hardly ever complain because men for the most part will always be willing to be held accountable. Now, as for men in this sphere demanding women to take accountability, is really coming from a place of goodwill, not bitterness. Due to the general aura of the men in these communities, outsiders conclude that all men in this subculture are toxic and angry with women. This is a misconception I've always pointed out. In order for anyone to become successful in life, they have to be held accountable for the decisions they've made and become more responsible with their lives. Women are not children in a literal sense. Women have for many years proven to the world that they can operate independently in terms of attaining resources. This is what female empowerment is all about, to improve the lot of womankind. With being granted rights and social position comes great responsibility, even at the expense of dating, relationships, and marriages. Now, the red pill is not a plea for a woman to take accountability. Jordan Peterson is not an all-around alpha male. He's still plugged in, and you can tell by his commentary about hypergamy. The epithet of hypergamy is alpha fucks and beta bucks. Alpha fucks is primarily concentrated on the sexual side of woman's nature, while beta bucks is more concentrated on provision for the benefit of her and a potential family. Peterson said women made up and across dominance hierarchies. In a red pill paradigm, hypergamy always seeks the most optimal choice. If women can attain an all-around alpha male, they'll seek to balance this out in their lives in some way. One man, for the most part, can't simply fit one bill. More often than not, women may have men playing multiple roles to balance this equation out. That's it for today. Until then, next time.